Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day today. Today we're going to be talking about the Trinity Force Verace red dot. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I know that other people online pronounce it a little bit differently, but that's how I'm going to be going with it. So you can correct me in the comments down below if I'm incorrect, but that's what we're going to be calling it for this video. This is sort of a mid-range optic from Trinity Force. It's of course just a red dot. It does have a lot of really nice features and a few higher end features, and we'll go into those as we go on. But first, if you want to support the channel in any way, go ahead and check out any one of the links in the description. I think there's like 6 links down below that you can check out if you want to support me in any way. So getting into this guy, the price tag of the Trinity Force Verace is about $70. You can find it for a little bit more, I'm sure you can find it for all the way up to like $100 or so, but if you can, try and keep it around 80 or less. Now this guy here, it comes with Trinity Force's lifetime warranty. It comes with its nice little warranty card in a nice little box, but we don't really do unboxing, so I'm not really going to show you everything that came with it because the optic is the important part. But suffice to say that there is a lifetime warranty. It's a 5 setting, I believe, red dot sight, and it has just 2 buttons on it, which is really nice. It likes to keep things nice and simple, so you have on, or you have your plus and your minus. You push any one of the buttons and it turns on, or if you move it, it turns on, which is something we'll talk about in a minute. So it's really simplistic, and it also has some really high quality features. So first off, let's talk about build quality. This thing is made out of a solid one-piece aluminum block, so it's milled from the same piece, which is a lot of work. So what's nice about that is that you have a very consistent, very nice, very heavy duty optic, at least in its body construction. Hopefully the glass on the inside is as high quality in terms of its build quality and its durability as the outside is, but the outside is pretty much built like a tank, and it's probably never going to break. Now, another nice thing about that is even though this part is all aluminum, the mounting hardware that comes with it is of course all steel. So steel mounting hardware, then you have aluminum body to make it a little bit lightweight. It's not the lightest optic in the world. It's about 11 ounces and about 5 inches long. So depending on your build, it may or may not work for your use case. Now, Trinity Force does claim that on this optic that they get 50,000 hours of battery life on like setting 3, I believe, but I haven't tested it. I have not even had it long enough to possibly test that because that's years and years at that battery life. But another nice thing about this guy, and it's really kind of defining feature, and something that I really wanted in a red dot, and probably my favorite feature in any red dot, is an auto on-off. So this guy here does have shake awake functionality, so that means if you pick it up after it's been off for about 14 hours is when it turns off. It's a long period, but I mean, when you have 50,000 hours of battery life, it's not too bad. So when you pick it up, it instantly resumes the last setting that you had it on. So right now it's on setting 2, I believe, because we're indoors. So if you leave it laying around for a long period of time and need to get it going in a hurry, you don't need to fumble with buttons or try and do something in the dark. It just automatically turns on for you and it remembers where you set it at. Pretty much one of the best features that you can have in a red dot sight is just having it up and available whenever you need it, even though it does have an extremely long battery life at, again, that 50,000 hours, so you're probably not even going to run into that issue. Speaking of battery life, battery is supplied in this little side compartment up top. This is very much aim pointish. I believe it's like the aim point comp M4 or something like that. It's very similar. It comes with a AAA battery. I have a rechargeable AAA battery in here. So it's actually not going to give you quite the same life as a full powered one would, but of course you have a rechargeable battery. Then again, I'm not really sure what your reduction ratio is versus a full powered battery versus a rechargeable battery, but again, you can just recharge it, and I have a lot of them laying around. Now, what's really nice about this is that it has an O-ring on both the front and the back, though I don't believe the front part is removable, only the back part is, so it's just kind of there for looks. So, but it is O-ring sealed, and I believe they do say it's IPX7 water resistant, so it's water resistant, submergible, all that sort of stuff, but it's not like submergible to like 30 meters, so if you're doing any diving with your guns, probably don't put this guy on there. But out in the rain, going through whatever you're normally going to, throwing it into puddles, into rivers for a little while, probably not going to be that big of an issue. So in terms of build quality, you have a very robust, a very durable exterior complemented with that waterproof or that water resistance, so it makes it a very durable optic that you can throw on just about anything. Now, this is pretty much my most violent gun. This is my AR-10 firearm. It's a 12.5-inch barrel, which is shorter than a rifle, but then it's 29.5 inches long, so it's over that 26.5 inches. So now it's a AOW, or no, it's not an AOW, it's considered a firearm, so you can have a front foregrip on here, but it's not a rifle. Anyways, so this is pretty much my most violent rifle that I have, or firearm that I have, and it kicks a lot, and so it doesn't like to play well with optics or zeros or anything like that. But this guy here, through about 250, 300 rounds that I put through this guy, not necessarily the most rounds I put through an optic, but it hasn't shifted. I've set it and forget about it. The mounting solution on here is very robust and very tough. It has a lot of contact all the way down through your rail, which is very nice to hold it securely in place. And again, they do use high quality steel mounting hardware, so it's going to be a lot tougher than the actual base itself, so you're not going to worry about stripping out screws or anything like that. And since the optic does actually come in a nice package with your warranty card, it also has a user manual, and so it'll tell you that you can tighten these guys down to a recommended 18 foot-pounds each. So I mean, if you have a Torx wrench or something like that, you can put these guys to the perfect pressure that they're recommended from the factory. Now, another very important thing or feature about red dot sights is their field of view. So now this guy's a little bit big and bulky of a unit. It's certainly not the smallest red dot on the market, but it's not designed to be. It's designed to be a little bit different and to have its own set of use case scenarios. But with this guy, when you are aiming down sights with it, it has a 30mm objective lens. So it's much bigger than a lot of other red dots that are like 20 or 22, and they have a very small, narrow field of view. That being said, it does have a large exterior on it, so it is going to take up a little bit more outside of that field of view than a lot of other micro dots will. But that 30mm objective lens is nice and does give you a huge field of view for everything that's more than like 10 feet away from you. So really like the 30mm objective lens, but secondarily to that is glass quality. And this guy here does have very clear glass. It is very bright and it's very easy to pick things up at a distance or at close range or even in low light situations, but you will notice that it is tinted a little bit blue. Now, a lot of optics are tinted a little bit blue. Some people, it helps to make that red dot show up very, very bright, which this guy is bright. It is daylight bright on its max setting, and this guy is also, on top of that, it's a 2 MOA dot, so it's very, very precise. Most of my other red dots are 4 MOA dots, which means that they're a little bit bigger, a little bit faster to get on target, but this 2 MOA dot is still very, very bright and crisp, and it's much, much more precise. So if you're doing a little bit longer range shooting, you can absolutely do that. But it is important to note that the glass on here, though it is fully multi-coated, it does have a bit of a bluish tint on it, so you definitely will notice it when looking down. Now, when you're outside in the daylight, it's not really that noticeable because there's a very high percentage of light transmission, but when you're indoors right now where it's a little bit darker, it's going to be a little bit more prevalent. So keep that in mind depending on where you plan on using it. Now, in terms of height and co-witnessing with iron sights, I believe it's at the perfect height. I believe it's 1.5 inches, so it's at that lower 1/3 co-witness. So you are going to have your iron sights, if you're running them, in the lower part of your optic. So you still have that red dot, very crisp, clear on top, and then you have your iron sights if you need to use them down below. And the iron sights that I'm running on this guy here right now are actually the Trinity 4 steel iron sights. They're pretty inexpensive. I think you can pick them up for like 20 bucks. I have a bunch of cheap iron sights laying around, and so these ones here were just the ones that I decided to throw in this guy, and since it has the Trinity Force red dot on it, it kind of is a whole package of them. These guys here, they work just fine. I kind of set them and forget about them, and I don't really use them all that much just because I'm not a fan of iron sights, but on a gun with a red dot, even if it does go down, you still have something that is compatible with it. Now, speaking of height and mounts, because this is a one-piece design, it's a solid block of aluminum on there, it's not really adjustable, so if you need to change the height up or down for whatever reason, you'll never be able to adjust it down, but you can adjust it up if you buy a separate riser for the bottom. So you're going to have something that attaches to the rail and then this guy goes onto. So as opposed to just buying a different height mount, you're going to have to do some sort of rail riser or something like that. For me, it's at the perfect height and I don't need to adjust it up or down at all, and it works really well with this setup. Though on different guns, if you're running like an AK or something with a little bit different cheek weld on it, you might have a little bit more issues, or a few more issues, I should say. Last few things to mention on here. On the outside, you do have windage and elevation adjustments, of course. They do have these nice little rubber caps that sometimes get in the way of taking it off because they like to stick together. But that means that they are very secure on there and they're held in place, so they're captive. So even if you unscrew them and forget about them, they're not just gonna fall out on you, so they kind of just stay up here. They can be a little bit tricky to get off just because the rubber likes to stick together, so they can be really grabby. But once you kind of have to hold one part down and then unscrew it, but then you have it clearly marked on the inside of the cap, which I actually don't like as much. I prefer it just to be on the actual adjustment itself, but it has a very nice and wide place where you can adjust it, so you can use a knife blade, a screwdriver, a penny, anything like that you can to adjust it. Very easy. It does have 40 MOA of adjustment, which is more than enough than most people need. It's not as much as some other optics, but it has not been a big deal to me. The two buttons on top are very tactile, very easy. It has texturing on top so you can tell which one's plus and minus even in the dark, but if you were wearing gloves it would pretty much be impossible to tell which one was which. But then again, just know the one that's farther forward is plus and the one that's further back is minus. Pretty easy setup. There's only two buttons on it, which I really like. I know a lot of other optics, especially nowadays, have like 5 or 6 buttons on them, and so there's a lot of different things you can do and swapping between reticles and colors and whatever else you need to do. But this is a true red dot with an auto on-off feature, which is probably its best strength. It has a very precise, very crisp 2 MOA dot. It has very solid mounting hardware and a very solid, durable outer body construction. So for 80 bucks, 80, 90 bucks, depending on how much you spend for it, it can be a very excellent bargain, especially if you just need a good, decent quality optic, and I would even say a high quality optic, especially if you just wanted to throw this on one of your AR builds. Now on this specific AR build, this 12.5-inch AR-10 firearm, it doesn't necessarily make 100% sense. It would probably make a little bit better sense on like a pistol blackout or a 10.5 AR-15, or even if you just like running red dot sights on your rifles or whatever else you like. One thing to note about this guy is that because it is so long, if you're going to be putting a magnifier on it, you're going to run out of rail space really fast, just because this guy here is about 5 inches long. So I have it mounted really far forward, and with the iron sight on the back here, I would have a hard time putting on a 3 times magnifier, whatever magnifier I want to put on the back. So just something to keep in mind, that it's not the smallest, most compact package in the world, but it's not supposed to. That's not really what it's designed to do. Now that being said, this certainly isn't the cheapest red dot on the market, but in my opinion, it is definitely one of the most high value red dots on the market. For about 80-90 bucks, so it's still fairly inexpensive, you get a lot of good features. You get a very durable package, you get an auto on-off feature with 50,000 hours of battery life, you get good glass clarity, it is a little bit tinted, and you do get the just very simple controls. You get captured elevation knobs and windage knobs. Everything on here is really nice and feels quality. It's only 11 ounces, so it's not super heavy. It's not like aim point light or anything like that, but then again, you're not spending $600 on it either. So for what it is, I think it does an excellent job, and if you just need a good red dot or even a great red dot to put on a gun and not spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and you're looking for kind of a mid-range option in terms of price, this guy here can be a really good option for you. So that's pretty much it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Please let me know what you guys think of this guy down below, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Peace off.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. What are you still doing here? The video's over. Wait. Why are you still here? Like, share, and subscribe. Or don't. The choice is yours. But if you do subscribe, thanks. And I like pizza. Peace off.